All right, we're back again. I'm in a remote location, and we're trying to with Skype to see how this works out. We've been using Zoom for everything, so we wanted to see what Skype is, and we already have technical difficulties.
I just
So
had a sheet of ice fall off my roof when the video started. Scared the crap out of me. I was like, oh my god.
let's see how this works out. We like to try out the two formats to see what works, and with Daniel being on mobile and I'm actually a remote location today. It's like if our quality degrades a little bit, hey, we're on remote location. So, but it's all about being in the flow. We talk about it all the time, and here we are staying in the flow, right, Daniel?
Yeah, doing my best. Sometimes it gets a little rough.
Yeah, sometimes the flow is as much as we talk about it and everything, it does have its struggles. I know for me it has its challenges.
Definitely. I mean, yeah, but that's the fun of it. So I just get to enjoy it.
I think so. For me, it's like I always like being in the unknown. It's like that. Uh, Sometimes it does feel a little uncomfortable, but I guess that's just human beings. Us as human beings want to be in the known. Our little mind wants to put it all into a little box, and then we get boxed in, and then that's all we see, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah. I mean, the river doesn't know where it's going, right? It
Yeah,
just keeps on going.
yeah, it's a good ride. I know I've had my challenges. In the past few weeks, I've been doing some major migrations for some websites, and oh man, one problem after another, and it's just been it's like it's like everything we talk in our podcast all the time. All I do is I meditate and just kind of let it move through, and sometimes those meditations aren't the smoothest, and sometimes it's 5 minutes, and sometimes it's an hour. So to me, whatever you can do, it's like do your best.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Finding that time to that consistency within the inconsistency is good.
Yeah. It's for me, it really calms me down when I finally, I mean, because of all the stress. So, dealt with about 20 something websites. So, migrating from one server to another, uh, I get on edge sometimes because there's issues that happen, with everything that we do, it's issues. And it's just like life, when we're doing something change, a big change, we run into those problems. And I used to get real flustered, I guess is the word. But now it's like I find my inner peace once in a while. So it comes and goes.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, you just get better at it.
Hmm.
I think people think peace will happen when life changes, which is
Yeah.
backwards. It'd be
Yeah.
like putting on your clothes and then getting in a shower. This is a weird example, but like that's what people think. They're literally living that way. Oh, once I get these clothes on, then I'll find the peace that comes on top of me. And it's the opposite. You have to go in the shower first, find the peace, and then you get all the clothes and the things that you need.
Yeah, that I never heard it that way, but I can see what you mean by that. It's
That was the weirdest metaphor ever created.
it's different. I give you that. But it is, we think that the inner peace is going to come to us, but the reality is we are the inner peace. We just have to allow it to come through us. That's the funny part. You're absolutely right.
Right. And I see this, I mean, I've done it. So like constantly chasing like enlightenment or, I'm going to meditate 2 hours today so then I can get that buff spiritual abs. But like which is great. I've done it, and you have to do that. But like at some point, it happened today. You get to the point you just give up chasing anything. Like it just becomes like this, like, well, crap. I will just do nothing, and that'll be okay. And
Yeah,
it's like nothing to do. And at that point, that's where that peace comes. Like there's nothing outside of you that can bring you the joy that this moment can.
exactly. Yeah, and you're right. It's like the chasing. It's like we're so addicted to the chasing. We have to get there. We have to go there. We have to be there. It's like at this time, and we're either chasing time, a location, something to do, something to escape on, something to entertain us. There's always something we're always chasing. And if we just stopped chasing, we'd have the most inner peace that we've ever had, right? We can go sit under the tree and just be Buddha.
Right. Or not even chase that. Yeah. Like then people are chasing wanting to meditate all the time or go travel all the time or there's another type of chasing where it's like chasing yourself away from everything, which is also chasing in a weird way. It was just whatever the moment brings. I don't know. Makes your heart sing.
But that's as humans, it's I think it's just that we're geared that way. We have to do something. We have to create a construct to define something. I have no idea why we're built that way, but I guess with our souls having to get lessons, I mean, we have to be the imperfect beings that we are. If not, we wouldn't get any lessons. Because if we were perfect, then hey, it's like, all right, we're done. I'm in Nirvana. I don't need to do anything. I'm just gonna stay right here.
Right. Yeah. I mean, to me, yeah, there's things we're expanding to, but I think humans aren't actually built to chase. I think we're conditioned to chase. I don't think that's actually what our bodies want us to do. I don't think that's what our DNA wants us to do. I don't think that's what humans did. Because if humans were meant to chase, then cavemen would be chasing. But Native Americans would be chasing, but they weren't. I mean, they had to go get food and hunt, but they weren't like, I'm going to build up my life and be a success, right? They were just
Mm-hmm.
like, let's just take care of our tribe and chill and like connect to Mother Nature. By no means am I an indigenous person, but like from what I see from that state,
Mm-hmm.
indigenous tribes that are naturally human, like if anyone's unconditioned, right? They don't act like us. Like they're not pursuing. I mean, they're pursuing things, right? Food and all the things they need, but that's about it.
Yeah. Maslow's hierarchy. They're getting their base foundation foods, then and shelter and all of that. Then once they have that foundation, they're allowing themselves to be who they are going to be, whatever that is.
Right. Which we're trying to make ourselves something, right? It's like I'm
Yeah.
gonna be something, but you're a human being that takes a poop every day, I hope, and wants to have this weird thing called sex and eat food. Like, I mean, we are animals at our core, and
Yeah.
when we make ourselves more than that, I mean, it's just not natural. It's like I see a lot of people like, I'm going to save the world. And I'm like, you're one of 3 billion humans on a gigantic planet. Like, unless you become Captain Marvel or something and you're going to become a superpower, like, that's cool. But until you do, like, first, like, find some peace in you and then save the world.
Oh, we're doing genetic manipulation. Maybe we just need to enable that gene that gives you that Captain.
Hey, part of me doesn't want that responsibility.
Or we could get the Ant-Man suit. The one that lets us shrink and all the way to the molecular level there too. But anyway, we digress there. So
Yeah, but I mean, I guess, argument or what I would say is like, you came here to be human,
yes.
so stop trying to be superhuman, or and sometimes be superhuman, but
Mm.
um, there's this spiritual chasing of I'm going to levitate to become an enlightened master, which is not bad to have. It's always in you, right? Most spiritual people have some form of enlightenment on their brain. But also you came here to be a human being, and you're still going to, do all those human things. And I think we just forget that and end up trying so hard.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at us at the beginning of this podcast. We were the audience doesn't see it, but we were like trying to get your picture to rotate a certain way, and it's like, oh, we got to do this, we got to do that, and uh, finally we just said it's like, okay, we'll just go at it this way, and that's the part that, like I was talking about earlier in another podcast, it's like about the perfectionism. It's like we just, sometimes for me, it's like I just have to let it go, and it's like, all right, we'll go with it. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Right, because then you'll never make a podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. It's taken me this long to be here, so.
You're like, I need to start doing a podcast. I'm like, you just have to hit record on your phone and talk. Like, they're like, well, I gotta have the lighting set up, and it's gotta be like, which is cool, but like, you could have made 3,000 videos by now.
Yeah. Yeah. That's before, it's like I used to beat myself up when I didn't. I mean, it was such a weird cycle because I would beat myself up. It's like, oh, it's not this way, so I can't do it. And then I would beat myself because I didn't do it. So it's like, and then rinse and repeat. I would go back and forth. Oh, but I can't do it because it's not this. Oh, because I don't have the right equipment. Oh, because I don't have this. Oh, because there was always something I needed to finish. And now it's like I've gotten to the point, and through this podcast, just learning, it's like just letting myself go, and it's like, all right, let's just move with it. It doesn't need to be all perfect, and that is very liberating, I have to say. So not having that forced thing upon myself, I don't know. It's just like this whole weight that I had on my shoulder. It's like poof, it's gone.
Right. Yeah, and I like to play with words. So like the chasing or like the trying. I mean, the perfectionism, the more I meditate, and today I just showed me like how many things you chase. Like chase having more money, and that's a perfectionism, right? My bank account has to look perfect. You chase
Hmm.
health. I got to eat the perfect foods so I can be perfectly healthy, right? I got to be the superhuman, vegan, spiritual person, right? Or whatever it is you choose. And
Hmm.
then it's like, I got to chase that relationship. It's got to be perfect, right? I got to have that perfect relationship. And then we're on manifesting that with all our thoughts. I got to have perfect thoughts. And then we're like, oh, I
Yeah.
got to do the perfect thing today. Like, it's so tiring. And like,
Yeah.
and then I watch not my, I call it my dog, but it's not my dog. It's a dog that lives in the house. Just being a dog all day. And part of me is a little jealous of the simplisticness of her life. But I'm a human. Like, I could just be a human that
Yeah.
wants to have sex with people, that wants to get food, that wants to have a safety net, and that's it. Like, beyond that, I don't have to do anything.
Yeah. There's absolutely nothing we have to do.
And then you'll do everything, right? It's the Tao. The Dharma will come through. You don't have to make it happen.
Yeah, it's just it really is about letting it be. It's incredible because I used to question it. It's like, oh, well, it's like I'm not doing anything, but you are absolutely doing everything. That's the ironic thing about being. It's like we think that there's no movement, but actually that is when the movement occurs because now we're being at this present moment and we see things much more clear, and we're able to see, okay, okay, I'm going to go this way, okay, and because I'm being, if that's not the right direction, I can go, it's like, oh, this didn't work for me, so let me go over here with no attachment to that. And it helps just to see it as a lesson. For me, it's like, oh, look, I had that lesson, and then move on to the next one, rather than going, it's like, oh, I had to get all this right and I had to do that. So it is, being is very powerful. It's not doing anything, or what do they say, no thing.
Yeah. and then everything will get done. I mean, in my room, did laundry, exercised, took a walk. I'm not like I'm not doing things, but it
Mhm.
doesn't feel effortful. Like there's no stress. Like it's just like, oh,
Yes.
what I gotta do today. I'm a human. Like it's like I'm a squirrel. I gotta go collect nuts. Like it's not even like, it's just like, oh, I gotta go to a job because I live in 2019 and that's what you do. Like there's not like this complaint. It's just like this is what it is. So more money so then I can not have a job and then blah. It's like you're chasing something. Like it's just once I stop, I'm not tired. And everyone's
Yeah.
tired because they're all chasing. They're all
Yeah.
pushing past their humanness.
And the funny part is also the other thing that I see is the gratitude. It's like we're so busy chasing that we forget the gratitude. I mean, look at us. I mean, we're you're over there and I'm here. You're in Colorado and I'm here in Texas and we're having this podcast. I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, I'm grateful that we can do this. We connected one time physically, we got to know each other at that time, and then we just connected after that, and here we are doing a podcast. I mean uh, it's it's a great thing to say. Thank you for allowing us to connect this way, universe, God, or whatever you call it. We have devices to be able to do this. I mean, I'm grateful for that. We have homes. I mean, we have places where we live. Where we can be there, and that to me helps me be also, because when I'm grateful for everything that I have, it's like, wow, it's like um, we're so abundant in what we have that we forget that part because we're always chasing. And look around, and I mean, you just if you're watching this podcast, pause it and then look around at everything you have and think about that and be grateful for what you have and see how it changes your mood. It's powerful.
Yeah. No, I agree. I realized how much, I had a fear that if I didn't chase, I wouldn't get things done. Like that was the deep fear in me, where my ego fear is like, well, if I don't constantly think and chase more money or the relationships, then it'll never happen.
Yeah.
And that's the deep, deep fear. It's like the ego is like, I'm gonna die if I don't go out there and run around in circles. Um, which is funny. I mean, it's there, and
Yeah.
then, but it's not really true. Like you're gonna do things. Like
Yeah.
humans, that's in our nature. Like you're gonna sit around for 2 days and be like, well, I want to go outside, or I want to go to work, or I want to go do this thing, or
Hmm.
because that's just our natural state is to create. We don't have to push ourselves to create. It'll
Yeah.
just like there's this like lie that like if we give people enough abundance to live, they'll just be lazy and do nothing. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
that's not how humans work. Like
Yeah.
they will for a month or two,
Hmm.
and they'll be like, well, I gotta go do something.
Yeah.
And it's not like they have to push it. They're just gonna naturally like spring happens and you're gonna be like, I want to go out. It's not like you had to like chase it. It just unfolded.
Yeah. And everybody will react different. Some people, it might take them a little bit longer, and some people might take them a little bit less. But it's interesting because I believe, in reflection. So when we talk about doing that, it's like, just let people do what they want to do. It's like, and then you hear all this judgment, and really it comes back, okay, what's that reflecting for you? I mean, what quality is that in you? Because everything that triggers us about somebody else is just a reflection of something that I have in me. that's
Right.
that's the irony. So it's like we're not gonna give them stuff because then they'll be freeloaders. It's like, all right, let's look at that a little bit. Let's go a little bit deeper there. We
Right.
It's such an easy way to cop out, I guess, in my opinion.
No, I agree. Like I did a live video yesterday and someone was like attacking me because I was talking about eating Taco Bell and it was actually delicious. But like, and and she was like yelling at me for being like not killing animals and torturing them. And I wasn't even like triggered at all. I just like didn't even like care. It was like, oh my God. Like I just kind of giggled and like make fun of
Yeah,
it. And, but there's no guilt in me for what I'm doing. So like I
right.
don't get triggered by it because I'm like, well, like I have a different belief system. I believe
Yeah.
plants are sentient beings too. That's why I'm going to argue that cannibalism is the most spiritual eating thing, because we're eating ourselves, so we're not hurting any sentient beings. But no one's going to do that because that's gross. And I agree, because our biology doesn't want us to eat our own animals, because that's, a survival mechanism in us.
Mhm.
So
I'm kind of concerned about you, Daniel, now. I don't know about that.
for sure.
I'm not gonna go visit anymore. He's like, who knows? You're gonna take me into the mountains, and then it's like, where's Mario? Where'd he go? Because I'm kind of chunky. You could survive off of me for a while.
Well, that was part of the joke. But but it's just funny. But yeah, but it doesn't trigger me, so there's nothing in me. Because the more inner work we do, the less those outside forces and what other people think of us is gonna
Yeah. It's because you're beginning to and what you're talking about, it's like it helps define who we are, and we're becoming in that piece of who we are. It's like, oh yeah, this animal right activist said this about me, and if you know who you are, why would it trigger you? I mean, if it does create a trigger, then there's a doubt of whatever, not necessarily about that, but there's a doubt that might have been created, an anger or resistance because of something, whether it's this life or childhood or past life or energetically, there's always something there if you're triggered. That's what I tell everybody. If you're offended by something, then there's something in that for you. And don't, if you want to, you can go into it and you'll grow from that. And eventually that trigger will start to disappear to the point that it's like you'll go, it's like, oh yeah, okay, that's what you say about me. Okay, cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the deepest, a lot of our deepest fear is what other people think about us. And that comes from, obviously parents and, wanting to please
Yeah.
them, so that it's a survival mechanism, which is
Right.
not cool to have, but it's out of balance, right? But that just comes
Yeah.
from a perfectionism thing. I need everyone to be happy with what I'm doing, which,
Mm-hmm.
funny, in that video, and I keep on saying this because I thought it was just ironic, someone said I'm a horrible person. One, I didn't eat meat at Taco Bell because I didn't want to eat their meat, so I had cheese. So it's funny that I was thinking about this and then they made fun of me, which made me laugh. And then another friend said, I watched your video because it said Taco Bell. So I literally had 2 comments in a row, someone liking my video because of what I did and someone yelling at me because of what I did. And I was like, this is just the greatest example of whatever you choose in life, someone's going to hate you and think
Yeah.
you're the devil, and someone's going to think you're Jesus Christ. And so you might as well just do whatever you want to do to a point of not hurting people, right?
Right.
That's but humans naturally, unless you're a psychopath, don't want to hurt people. So I trust in human nature to be
Yeah.
good.
I do believe that human nature does, and if it's all in balance, that really is the key. If it's all in balance, human nature will take care of itself. Humankind, we always talk about survival of the fittest. And I don't think it really is about survival of the fittest. I think it's more about survival with the balance.
Right.
Because if we get things off balance, I mean, like everything that's happening to the earth, there's a lot of uh, activists about, oh, you have to do this to save the earth and to save that. And I read a paper a while back. It's like saying, environmentalists are just ego driven. It's because it's all about themselves. They want the earth to be perfect for themselves. So, so
Yeah.
now that was a perspective that was interesting. It's like, okay, well, I never thought about it that way. But anyway, all joking aside.
Yeah, I've been environmentalist, and people would say, why do you do this? And a lot of people would be like, oh, I'm doing this to save the planet. And I finally said, I'm doing this for me. And they were
Mhm.
like, what? I was like, because if I'm going to reincarnate on this place, I would like to have land to live in that's nature. Like, I want national parks because I want to go to national parks. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want it to all be like freaking buildings and oil refineries. Like,
Mhm.
you can go have that over there, but I want my freaking land that I
Yeah.
can be like, chill and live off it. Like, you know, And but I never went up to the person that didn't disagree with me. They just want what they want for them. They might
Right.
work for oil and gas, so they want oil and gas to continue.
Yeah.
I don't really judge that. It's your living, like, So, yeah, it wasn't about ever saving the world. It's just, but that does have that. They say that a lot, and I.
Yeah. And I was using that as an example because the Earth has been here for so long. It's like, and Earth knows how to balance itself. I mean, and as weird as this sounds, I mean, the more, if we're creating so many chemicals, and don't get me wrong, I actually do believe we should work in doing environmental friendly things. But the way I see it, this is my philosophy. It's off balance right now. And Mother Earth, the universal law is, to me, is if it's off balance, something's gonna bring it back in balance. Whether it means we're gonna get killed and hey, we're gonna get eradicated from Earth, well,
Right.
we did that to ourselves.
Fine.
Yeah. So so we are off balance, and somewhere in there we have to do a give and take. And I do feel that humankind will eventually get to a point that it will be in balance. And if it doesn't, then I guess we weren't meant to be here. And who knows where we'll go next? And we'll start another somewhere else.
Yeah, it's not that serious. I mean, if the world ends, we'll all
Yeah.
be fine. Like if you believe in that, so
Yeah.
that fear isn't even really a fear. Like it'll just be
Right.
fine. Like there'll just be another parallel reality where the Earth is fine, and we'll just play that game. It's like a video game. You can hit the reset button back to the same level and replay it and see if you can do it right again.
Yeah, we just make different decisions, right? We'll go to the left tunnel, not the right tunnel on the game.
Right. Cheat code this time. But it's I mean not but it's fun to do well and it's fun to take care of your
Yeah.
home. It'd be like if you went to me, it's like if you went over to a friend's house and you trashed it and then just left, like no one would be like, good job. Like
Yeah.
that's how I just view the earth. Like it's not like I'm saving it. It's just like, well, I want to leave it a little better than I
Yeah.
came. And I think that's just an ethical part of me wherever I live. But it starts with your house and it starts with your
Yeah.
friends. You want I like what, Matt Kahn says, or, I quote him a lot, but, we want to save the world, but we can't even have a good relationship. Like maybe we need to start with like our community. Like, let's not save the world. Let's like get your family together. Like,
Yeah.
let's get your life together. I see a lot of like activists that go to their house and it's like destroyed. Like it's so messy. And I'm like, this isn't good. Like, stop saving the world. Like clean your room. Like I agree with that. Save it. Like start with yourself, get healthy, right? Or meditate, or
Yeah.
we'll start within you. When I did ayahuasca, I mean, it was pretty clear, like save yourself, then you'll save
Yeah.
the world.
But
And I have a lot more freedom not having to save the world. And I just see that consistently. People don't have their finances together. They don't have this, and they're wanting to save the world. I'm like, well, yeah, get yourself together first. Whatever that means. I agree with that statement for sure.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, and that's part of the balance. If we stay in balance, yeah, I think it trickles all over the place. If we're in balance, that'll radiate wherever we go. We'll see everything as balanced. It's like, oh, okay, well, I need to make sure I respect this side, or I need to be this way or that way. It's like, if it's for your balance, it will always do that. And if the other person that you're interacting with is striving for that too, the balance starts coming out. It's like, oh yeah, it's like, well, this is my balance point. This is your balance point. Okay, let's meet somewhere in the middle there.
right. And I think that's cooperation and getting rid of the ego, right? So, when I was in the environmental work, a lot of people I worked with wouldn't even talk to people in oil and gas. Like they wouldn't listen to what they said
Mm-hmm.
or anything. And I did the exact opposite. I would have long conversations and it would be great. We wouldn't agree on everything, but that's fine. Honestly, I've learned more about environmentalism from the people working in oil and gas because I want to listen to them because they're
Yeah.
in it. Like if anyone knows about it, it's them. So
Yeah.
I learned, like one, that gasoline production is not for cars mostly. More than half of gasoline production is to make things. And a lot of environmentalists don't know that. Who do I learn that from? Guy that worked in oil and gas talking to me. And he was talking about, you know, how cars aren't the issue, which is actually true. But, you know, plastic and stuff is actually a bigger issue because we're making plastic out of gasoline and throwing it in the ocean.
Yeah.
Cars aren't as big of an issue. Like, that's just dumb in my brain. So I'm like, well, this is just a waste of resources. We can do better. Just because why are you making materials out of a material that's limited, right? Like, wood isn't, so use that. But, like, that's just not even logical from a standpoint, environmentalists or not. But by listening to everyone and not in cooperating, we can create something new. But by fighting each other, right, by being the vegan that yells at me, it doesn't make me want to be vegan. It makes me actually want to go eat a bunch of meat and rub it in her face. I'm not going to do that because that's going to hurt me. I don't eat that much meat. But, like, right? That doesn't, it makes people, like, not want to be vegan. Now, when someone like Joe Rogan or someone talks about being vegan and how to do it, or someone that's not so attacking, you might go, oh, that might be a good idea. Maybe I'll eat less meat than I did before, right? You can even meet people in the middle. Like, I know you need meat to run your body, which some people do. Why don't you eat meat half the time? And they're like, okay. But being like, you got to be the righteous vegan that saves the world, like, isn't helping anyone.
Yeah, it's like with me. It's like I'm one of those people that I do have meat, but before, you know, when I was in my before I got into my spiritual path, it's like I was just meat every day, and it's like as I started learning about my body and learning what my body needs, and then I learned about veganism and also about vegetarians, uh, and it's like I tried that for a while, and then I noticed how my body was with some of the things. And you know, I found my balance point. I eat a little bit meat here, and then I go like a vegan kick, and sometimes I go into vegetarian kick. And as long as I feel my body in balance, but that comes back to being, you know, you have to be aware of your body, and if you can tell where your body is, then it helps in the foods that you consume because you start feeling how that food makes you feel. It's like for me, when of the few times I drink a Coke, it's like it is very different now. I see where it kind of weighs me down and makes me feel this certain way. But that's because I recognize my body and I'm moving slow enough to see that. And that's the importance. That's very important in my opinion.
Yeah. And I like to always go back to like indigenous. I haven't talked about this in a while, but I've been tapping into lately living in the mountains. Like they would probably eat meat pretty fast. So like you would think if you were killing a buffalo, you would have to eat it like kind of in a feast because you don't have refrigeration. So they would probably eat more plant-based, and when they had a hunt, they would feast. You know, that was probably the way it went. So that kind of makes sense for a lot of people. You would eat plant-based diet, and then you'd have a hunt, and you would like people want it to be linear, right? They want to put themselves in a definition, like either I'm a cannibal or I'm a vegan, or it's like you're probably somewhere in between. Like you might, and that might be the best for your body, but when you have to have these strict definitions, I think it's super, super limiting. And your body knows what it wants. Now I live in the mountains, and like people hunt elk, and they will get a year's worth of meat in one day. And they actually tell people to go hunt these elk because they will die off because there's too many. So in a whole different world, right? Like we need to hunt these animals because they're there in abundance. So they have to be, and there's not abundance of eating food. Like in a mountain, there's abundance of meat from an elk, but there's not an abundance of plants to eat. I mean, you're kind of in a different environment. So to have like a one size fits all definition of life and then push it on everyone else, it's just being righteous, right? It's being the it's being the Pope, like being like, you need to do this or you're gonna go to hell. Like you need to be vegan, you're going to hell, or just like it's tiring.
Yeah, it is exhausting. There's so much energy wasted in what I tell people. It's like just imagine if you shift that energy somewhere else. I mean, to something, it's like all people don't fit in this one box. I mean, we're all our own little boxes too. I mean, so what works for one person doesn't work for everybody. And I mean, look at how different you and I are. I mean, our body structures are different, the way we speak are, and I mean, so what works for you would not necessarily work for me. And that's understanding who we are. And that comes back to that other point, that understanding who we are.
Right.
Understanding who we are. I mean, that's the most important part, because once we understand ourselves, we are able to go out in this world and be ourselves and not be afraid of the reaction to ourselves, because we have found who we are. I
Yeah.
don't, kind of weird way to say it, but yeah, we find who we are just by being who we are.
Right. Yeah. And just, yeah, finding your own path.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we went to Darwin, and I love it because Darwin talks about specialization for survival, where, say, like a rabbit chooses to eat a certain food because it's not going to compete against its predators, right? Like that's why a
Mm-hmm.
rabbit's not eating other rabbits, because then the hawk's going to come like eat him because it's taking its food. So the rabbit goes, well, I'm going to eat this because no one else is eating this, and everyone specializes. So that's a survival mechanism. So when we find out who we are and what we do, right? If everyone just ate vegetables, that might be a problem
Mm-hmm.
because we run out of vegetables, right? Everyone be just
Yeah.
eating vegetables and there'd be just leftover meat and animals. But if everyone was eating meat, that would also be a problem because it would create an imbalance. So by like
Yeah.
some of us wanting being keto driven, and that really helps our body. I know people that get really sick when they're vegan and they go keto and they feel way better. I know also people that are eating dairy and go vegan and they feel way better. So we're all creating this balance. But it would be like what we do is like you might be a tiger and I'm an antelope, and we're like, you need to be like me, but you're like,
Yeah.
I'm a tiger.
Now that's the best way, I think. That's the best way to describe that. We are different types of animals. We are humans, but when it comes down to it, we are a different type of animal. We each one have our own differences.
Yeah, our DNA is different. Like we
Yeah.
look different. I think all of us humans are the same species of human. Is one not based on any scientific fact,
Yeah.
but also from a spiritual perspective, if we're all coming from different star systems, like we're all gonna have different needs, and we're all gonna function different. Because the idea, right, is that this is like a melting pot of all the different star systems.
Yeah.
But also from like there's different humanoids from anthropology, and they all,
Yeah.
right, we all come, you have a different obviously background, more right,
Hmm.
Hispanic Latino. Am I saying that right? Or
I guess we'll go with it.
I don't know, you say what it is. But like that's also going to be a different structure of what you eat, right? Your body type and all these different things and where you came from, and um, that's all important,
Yeah.
different health things for women and men, or
Yeah.
um, but we want to like fight our differences. Like we all want to say we're all the same, but that's not
It's not
helping.
true.
Like we all have cultural differences. We're all from different places. Even being from Texas and being from Colorado, it's totally different.
Yeah. I mean,
And
look
to
at
be
the
like,
food.
you need to be like me, and I need to be like you. It's not good for our survival as a species.
I don't know. I've always liked this saying. I had a coach tell me this. It's like, you know what? You're unique, just like everybody else. So
Right.
everybody has their own uniqueness, and and speaking to that also, if you grow up like I grew up some in Mexico, and then I came over here, so some of my foods are different because I
Right.
grew up there, and then we came over here, and our foods changed. I mean, we still have some food that we still eat of my culture back then, back there, and we bring them here, but then we also eat some of the foods here. But when it comes down to it there's something about the food within my culture that it's like I like to eat it. It's like one of the beans and eggs. Mine is a real simple one. That's my comfort food. I eat beans and eggs, and I know some people that go, it's like, oh no, that's not. What? How is that appetizing? Because I grew up with that. That's yeah. So and that my body. This is the way I see it, and of course, I'm not a scientist. So let me say that, but I feel as we're growing, wherever we're growing, when we're young, our body adapts to those types of food, and as we grow up, there's certain things that your body will carry to that, and also your body will change, but I don't feel it would change that drastically. I mean, I feel that there's the reason people have issues as we grow older with the food is because we do have a lot of pre-processed. Well, I mean, now we're imitating meat. So it's like, okay, there's got to be something there. I mean, logically speaking, if we're trying to alter something to be something else, I don't know about you, but I feel kind of weird about that.
Yeah. I mean, I think it'll be good for people that need it, but yeah, again, it's an ethical thing. And it just depends on your own internal morals and values. Like,
Yeah.
to me, I believe the animals chose that. So I have this weird part, like they're choosing to be in this life, just in
Hmm.
a way serve us as we serve them, and there's some balance there. And
Yeah.
other people have a different viewpoint. And if you have a viewpoint that eating animals is horrible, it's probably not good for you to eat animals because your
Yeah.
belief system is going to make you sick, and you're going to feel horrible about yourself. So,
Well,
and I want to get well treated animals and eggs and things like
yep.
that. Like I love eggs. Like if the eggs are well treated, like I'll buy the more expensive eggs. I don't want
Yep.
chickens to be tortured. Like I
Right.
don't think the killing and slaughtering is that bad. Like I don't like the way they're treated, but I think the same way of plants. I don't
Hmm.
like spraying chemicals on plants either, and then
Right.
eating them. I think that's also it's just not respecting what you eat, right? Which just doesn't
Yeah.
seem logical to me. So, um, and everyone's also just doing their best. Like
Hmm.
I think that core knowing in me and my core belief, I'm very humanist in my core, my value system, where everyone's doing their best,
Yeah.
gives me more of a forgiveness of everyone. Like if the person's going and eating non-organic stuff, they might just not know or just not believe it, or they might have the money. They're doing their best they can. And
Yep.
it's not about being righteous and fixing them. It might be like, hey, like try this or whatever. It's like working with them instead of fighting it, I guess, and yelling at people. Like I hate plastic bags. Drives me nuts that we make bags out of gasoline and then people are carrying 10 of them home, and like it
Yep.
drives me crazy. Like you can paper bags are better. At least we can burn those and they're made out of trees that we can grow more. Like that's but I'm not gonna go yell at the people at the store for using
Yeah.
plastic bags. I'm just not gonna use them, and maybe say give the information like it's used
Yep.
out of gasoline and you want to use your car longer and you want cheaper gas, so don't use plastic bags because that would lower gas prices.
See,
Like,
now there's an argument we haven't heard. It's like,
right?
and that, and that back to what?
I'm a good salesman.
But I mean, that's the perfect thing. And you learn that because of how you approach the situation of saving the environment. I mean, you learned more about what gasoline did because that is one thing a lot of people forget that all the stuff that we use. I mean, electronics has. I mean, that in itself has tons of gasoline use, petroleum usage all over the place. I mean, everybody forgets. So if you are trying to save the world, it's like let's get rid of all the electronics, people. Let's get rid of the tires on the cars and
Right. And I'm not trying to save the world. I
yeah,
see a problem and I see a solution. It's just, and to me, that's an easy one. Like to just use paper bags or to bring a bag isn't like changing our whole society. Like going from gasoline cars to electric cars is not my thing to fix. But like in that moment, I was telling people not to use plastic bags because of this and this and this. And it was like, oh, okay. Like that makes sense. And some people were just like, no, I reuse them again. I'm like, well, that's not the point. But like, um, which is good. At least if you're
yeah,
using them 3 times, to me, that's better than using them once. So I'm like, okay, like
yeah,
cool. Like that's still better use of our resources. Um, but it's just funny that I can go on soapbox, but it's just interesting. But when you judge other people, you can't connect with them.
All right.
And then you can't see them. And you have to meet people where they're at, no matter what you're talking about. And if they are about money and economy, then you can spin it that way. Be like, well, if we don't use our gas for this, we can use it for this. And then people are like, oh, right. That would be I would do that argument for a conservative.
Yeah.
Well, a bleeding heart liberal, I'd just be like, plastic bags are bad. I don't even have to change them. They're just like, okay, don't use them. Don't be stupid. We need to save the earth. Global warming, right? Which I don't 100% believe is horrible. But I'm going to use whatever argument I can. It's not about me being right. It's about me shifting people to help everyone else.
Yeah. And the judgment is really the big one right now. And I mean, I feel that's a big one that I think the way the political system is happening, I think it's also bringing that to light. The judgment of how we as humans do it for everybody on both sides of the table. And I'm not going to say one side is right or wrong. It's like, but look at the essence of it. There's not a balance there. Right now, it's completely, we're all fighting each other. It's like, let's have a balance in there and have some discussions. Like I love the example that you talked about, when you were heavy into the environmentalists, you went and spoke to the oil executives or the oil people and talked to them. It's like, that's what's missing. And
right.
That's the balance that I'm talking about. It's like there's a balance in everything, even with plants. It's like eat consuming plants, animals, however, as long as we're doing it in a balanced way, and balance means different to everybody, but whatever your balance point is, just know of what's going on. So, and that's with that balance also comes we try to balance this podcast to a certain time, so we're not over talking you guys, and you can actually listen to us while on the drive home. So as always, I do like making challenges just because you know what, I like something to strive for. So Daniel, is there a challenge you want for our audience for this podcast today?
Look at everybody's truth around you, and this week, like, have conversations with people that don't agree with you, but find some way to connect, because there actually isn't one truth. Mm-hmm. Your truth has changed since you were 8 years old till now. So don't judge everyone else for not having the right answer, but instead interact with people from a place of understanding. Do your best to understand them, and then you can meet somewhere. And you'd be surprised at how much you agree with everyone. That everyone really wants the best for everyone. They just have a different way of getting there. It'd be like, their GPS, there's like 3 different directions to get somewhere. And someone would be like, this is the best way because it's more scenic. But this person would be like, well, we got to go straight there because it's, faster. Like, that's the same way with everything else. Like, everyone just wants happiness for everyone. They might be conservative and thinks less taxes will do it. And you might think that socialism will do it, that side. But really, you want the same thing.
Yeah.
You'll find that more and more.
Find the balance in it.
Right.
And for me, it's just a real simple one. It's like I always like to look at ourselves when you hear somebody that is actually saying something and you're getting frustrated and you're about to react. Instead of reacting, sit there for about 10 seconds and think about, what is it that I want to react about that's causing that? And look inside and see what that brings to you. Because you'll be surprised what the answer is. It usually isn't about them. It's usually just about us. And with that, thank you, Daniel, so much for joining us in this Mercury in retrograde issue-based Skype call and everything. So hopefully we'll get this all squared away once we're out of Mercury in retrograde.
It's all Mercury's fault. All my problems.
It's all my problems too. So there we go. Anyway, thank you, Daniel, so much. And thank you, audience. YouTube, please comment on us, subscribe, do whatever, and let us know what you think. We always welcome comments. Thank you so much.
Thank you.